Hi, my name is Sachin Chacha. I was born in Haryana. For last 3-4 years, I have been cycling and walking across India. Right now, we are in Rishikesh Mox Cafe, and we are filming for Daryl Films.
Hello.
Hey, hi, Daryl.
What's your experience been like in Rishikesh?
Yesterday only we were talking about how would we define our experience in Rishikesh, but we came to conclusion that it's almost impossible to talk about such a powerful place. But there's something about Rishikesh which always keeps me here, and the most important reason I'm in Rishikesh is obviously Ganga. Yeah, when I think of Ganga, I think of nothing else but Ganga. Uh, and there has been so many amazing connection and so many amazing revelations I had when I spent my time with her, and basically in that moment of time I get rid of my mind. When in all other moments, I have always my mind with me, but when I'm with Ganga, I kind of lose it for a while, and then I have no sense of being. And when I have no sense of being, I think I can see in those moments. I can see true of who I am, which is very hard to explain again.
We got to know each other 4 or 5 days ago, I think,
Yeah,
and we talked a little bit about your childhood up to a certain point.
yeah.
And what if you just start with what it was like as a child, and maybe explore a little bit the story behind your growing up?
Yeah. So I was born in a village in Haryana. It's a village of 20,000 people, and so I was born in one of the street, and I was limited to that street only for a very very long time. And then when I started like walking nicely, when I was like 7-8 year old, uh, we used to have buffaloes at our home. So every morning and evening we have to take those buffaloes to the pond to, and holidays we have to take them to the fields to graze them. So that was the time when I like went away from that street I used to belong, because otherwise nobody will take me away from that street, and we were like strictly prohibited to go away from our home, because it was always spoken that never go away from your home, it's not safe. And then obviously we used to go to school which was outside the village, like little outside the village. And then there was TV, mostly only one channel we used to have, national TV. And sometime in the rainy season we'll catch Metro, which was another channel. And every day we'll catch that another channel. Like that was wow, we got that channel. I was like, that, because that will give
Two
us
channels, huh?
yeah, two channels. And that will make our day. So we'll always used to wait for the rain, because we can explore different things through TVs. So we used to have these few serials, uh, like Krishna, story of Krishna, and Ramayana and Mahabharata, and there was this Alif Laila, which is based on Arabian Nights. And so Sindbad was my favorite character. Like, so every time I will watch Sindbad, like, wow, this guy is amazing. He he does all these cool things. He never settled down, and he had such a cool sword which can do anything. And so every time he's lost, someone comes and like give him tools to, you know, fight fight with whatever is coming. At the same time, the coolest thing about him was when he's done with something he needs, he will give it to someone who is in need. So he will never like hold on anything. And somehow that thing like used to strike me like a lot. And and then there were movies like every Friday night 9:30 we used to have this film. And like we will always like I will make sure that I watch that film. And until I haven't watched that some other film, I will talk about that film. Like I used to love narrating the story to kids who hasn't seen the film. And I remember sometime there were like 20 kids just listening my story, and I can always manipulate. Like every time I will find a film boring, I will make my pitch my own story into it. And so
Nice.
someone who has watched the film, they was like, no, 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 it's not like that. But nobody will hear him because my film was more interesting than the film they have watched. And like I used to love it so much.
So you consider yourself a natural storyteller, huh?
I don't know. I think everyone is born to be a storyteller. Like everyone is born storyteller, and especially when you are born in India, you have to tell stories.
Ah,
Like,
yeah.
like you end up like you ask someone something, like can I get a water? They will tell their story about different kinds of water they have tasted. Like like you ask someone something and they will never give you an answer, but they will give you a story.
A story, yeah.
So after a point in your life, you are so filled with stories, and so you also end up talking about it because you know nothing but stories.
So back to your childhood, you what happened after the Friday night movie or the
Yeah. So after Friday night movie, I wouldn't sleep. Obviously, I will like try to imagine the different endings of the movie and how like different it could have been. Like I always used to play around them. Like what could have what else could have happened. And there was this concept of VCR also. I think I told you already.
What's a VCR?
I don't remember the full form anymore, but it's something video compact. So it's eh?
Recorder.
Yeah, video cassette recorder. Yeah,
I know what they are.
Yeah. So I remember there were like 80 rupees. These shops used to charge to rent for a night, and with a color TV it was 120 rupees. So if there's a color TV and VCR, it was the best night.
Yeah.
So like we'll stand in front of the VCR shop and see who is renting the place, who is renting the VCR, and then we'll follow the person and then we'll find the house. We'll come back to our home and then we'll eat, and when everybody sleep, we'll go to that house, and because it was a private VCR, so they won't let us enter. But then we'll like, please let me watch for 10 minutes. At least let me watch the last fight. Like
Yeah.
when hero is killing all the villain and getting the girl. So like I had never been as passionate for anything as like watching a film. And then the grandpa stories also, like I had this like grandpa from neighborhood who will always tell me the tales of, like he was a woodcutter, and
Your grandfather.
he was not my real grandfather, but he was from the neighborhood.
Okay.
So in summer we never had electricity, so we always used to sleep outside. And my deal with grandpa was I will give him a feet massage and make his hookah. In return, he will tell me a story. So I remember he used to sleep by telling a story, usually so the other way around. Like when old people tell a story, kids sleep.
He would fall asleep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like he will fall asleep and I will like, wake up, like tell me what happened next. And then sometime we'll be annoyed, but then it's like, make me another hookah and I will tell you. And sometime it will go until like 1 in the night, and I'm making him hookah, he's telling me story. And then next morning I will like, and he always used to mix up stories, and because he was old.
Was he a good storyteller?
He was amazing storyteller, but he will like never remember
Yeah.
the characters.
Yeah.
And so then I will try to correct him up, like, no, this is not, this is like, he's like, what does it matter? Like, and yeah, but he was amazing. So we have this local hero. He's called Gyani Chor. Gyani means like wise, and Chor means thief, like wise thief. So he was like Robin Hood of our state back in those days. And so there are like so many stories about him, and everybody loved him. So like who doesn't love Robin Hood, right? So he was like kind of Robin Hood. So So I remember the first thing in my life I wanted to be was like a thief, because like he was loved by everyone. He was so brave. Even God loves him, and he used to help everyone, and he used to teach lesson to the bad guys. So once I tried to steal something from home, but I was caught. I was easily caught, and then
Good storyteller, but not a good thief. Huh?
yeah, I could never be a good thief. And then I had this friend who was a truck driver. So there was this thing written on his truck like goods courier. Like for me, there was no difference between good and goods because English was not the language. So I
Yeah.
thought goods is like good, like a good, and career and carrier. So I thought being a truck driver is a good career. So then he used to tell me story that he has seen the snow, he has seen the rivers and mountains, how he escaped a policeman. Like it sounded so amazing, and
Yeah.
it was amazing. I think most of his stories were not true, but they inspired me to be a truck driver. So once I ran away from home, again my family found me. So
Why did
and-
you run away?
eh?
Why did you run away?
I wanted to be a truck driver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so but then I was caught, and my family again like put me into school. But then we used to have these like story books, and then like someday a teacher told us a story. Like usually there was no storytelling, but one teacher he told a story, and I was so fascinated, like wow. And then yeah, then I asked him like, where did you get to know this story? He said like, you can know more stories if you read. So suddenly I started reading. Like until second standard I know nothing. In third standard I could read the books of eighth standard because there were stories into it.
Wow.
And because towards that approach to reading stories, I started reading. And then you always find a book world in the books. So
So were you reading in Hindi or English or both?
so I was reading in Hindi.
Yeah.
So even the English books, so there was like translation in the guides and everything. So I will always read the Hindi version. But like story is a story, doesn't matter which language. But what happened is like I was exposed to, let's say, English books even though I was in third standard, because I was reading the books of 8th, ninth, and 10th, only the Hindi translation though. But when you see something you become familiar. So the moment I was put into, like the moment I had English as my subject, it came easy to me as compared to other students. So that helped obviously. And yeah, what else you want to know?
And how does storytelling tie into what the journey you're on now?
Can you ask me again?
How does storytelling cross paths with what you're doing, the journey that you're on now?
Yeah.
Is it related to what you might explain a little bit what you're doing
Like
now?
it has nothing to do with my journey, but when you walk in India, you meet people, a lot of people, and those people are from very very different walks of life. And like I really like talking to old people. I make sure I talk to the old people on the way, and the conversations are never guided like they depend on the mood, my mood, on the person mood, how the weather is, what kind of chai is we're sharing. And then we always end up talking about the past. We always end up talking about topics like God, topics like love. And when you put such, like let's say we talk about God, only way to talk about God is like through stories of God, the adventure God has done. Like God has been the most adventurous person, let's say person, because
Maybe we should back up just a little bit and explain that you're on a journey of walking from in India. You're called your Facebook page is called
yeah, it's called Nowhere Human.
Nowhere Human.
Yeah, and if you like split it into, like Nowhere Human is now here, like now here, And so when I started it, it was very interesting when the idea came, but I never like it came actually when I was studying, doing my masters. So I was in second years of my master. I was actually partying in Bandra with like few of my friends. Like I always wanted to have that life, like nice, luxurious life, like where I can just do all the cool things what city people does. So when I was doing my masters, I was doing all those things. So one day, like we were really drunk, and then I slept at some friend's house. It was a nice big, like really big apartment with AC 16 degree. I still remember it showed 16 degree. And then, like at early morning at 5, I woke up. Like I slept at 5, 4, and I woke up at 5 only. And then I see everybody sleeping, and then I kind of like, wow, you made it to the elite life. And the moment I said like, wow, you made it to elite life, I'm like, but man, this is not you though. What do you think? Like, what do you think was you is not you. So what you wanted to have was never the thing you actually needed. And then I kind of felt like my whole life has been a joke, you know, like big lie. And then I came out of the apartment and started taking a walk, and there's a sea nearby. So I am walking on the road, like there are some people sleeping on the road, the people sleeping in the auto rickshaw, there are people sleeping in the taxis, and they're like these very rich people in very like comfortable clothes of different pinks and reds and all these colors. They have the most most comfortable shoes, and they have wide Apple earphone plugged inside there. Some has Bluetooth, and they're going for jogging. So all this diversity of people, and I'm walking among them. And
Was this the first time you noticed something like this, or did you notice it before, but you?
like initially there was only one kind of experience. Let's say the lack of everything kind of experience I had. So because there was lack of everything, I wanted to have everything.
Okay.
So, and then there was like you have both. Like there was lack, and now you have plenty. And then you are floating, like in lack and in fulfillment. So I could relate with those people who are sleeping on the street, because there was a point in my life where I have to like struggle with everything. There was nothing, and then I was doing that kind of people, like I was being that sort of person who has like same nice shoes and everything. And then I could sense a little bit of what they might be going through. I could sense a little bit of what these people who are sleeping on the road, like I was everybody.
Yeah.
So I was like then who is this? Suddenly I said to myself, I'm the nowhere man. Like who is everybody but nobody. Like
And how long ago was this?
it was in I think 2014 when I was finishing my masters.
2014. Okay.
Yeah, it was I think month of January, I guess.
And then from there, that's the idea that developed.
The idea developed, but then I buried it down. Like I kept somehow that night remained, but life was going the way it was going. And then I finished my masters. Then I worked for a while because I needed to pay my education loans and everything. And then when I was alone again, like when I left my job and everything, that night again came in front of me, like that that realization I had on that night. So obviously that night remained, like even though 1 year went by, but then again I was standing same way, and then things happened.
Such as?
Yeah, such as like I tell you how, like I used to travel a lot even when I was studying. Started like organizing tours like with on my own. So that will only I will never make profit, but that will save my travel and food money. So for example, I'm arranging trip of 20 people. So that includes my courses covered as well. So I was taking my classmates and like people who are studying to the like for 1 2 days trekking, but that was like nothing.
Mm.
So and then I made some like really good friends from different parts of the world. So with them I was traveling a lot. So even in my masters, like when everybody's like, I studied social entrepreneurship. So we have to start our business idea at the end of second year. So when everybody's like trying to build their business proposal, I'm trying to figure out where should I go next, like
Yeah.
which place, not like where in the like my life I should go next. All I'm thinking is like what better place I can go. So
Hmm.
like I was always like traveling somewhere and here and there. My classmates were few of them were really nice. Like in group assignments, I will never do anything, but they still will write my name. So I want to thank them. And so somehow, but when I finished my masters, I got a really good job. Like I was studying this subject, social network analysis. So so I was like close to that professor, and he found that I'm very interested into that subject. So I never needed to make a CV. So I got like really good job, and then I got to travel in Bihar, and which is very different from traveling in other touristy place. So that place also gave me like different sense of like different modes of traveling. Like it was more slow. I was talking to very educated people, especially like health professionals and everything. Their perspective on life, and I was talking to a lot of doctors. So, and I think doctors are really enlightened people because they they see death on everyday basis. So they kind of understand what it means to be alive.
Yeah.
And in all the interviews I was having with people, even though they had nothing to do with death, like over the chai conversation after the audio recorder was shut down, we will end up talking about life. And and because I was young and they were old, I don't know whether they see some spark in me, or like I don't know, they will always end up telling me, advising me that how important it is to live. And because people were telling it very consciously, and there was already some idea there.
You
So
mean they were telling you it's important to live according to to live life according to what
yeah, it's
is important for you?
like human. I think human cannot live without having a meaning in their life. You know, and so some of the people all of them like doctors. Some of them even though they were doing very noble job, some of them couldn't make meaning out of it,
Mm.
even though they loved what they were doing, but some deeper meaning they couldn't make out of it. And they were like people who were doing the same profession for like let's say 30 years, and they could tell me their journey of like let's say someone 50-year old telling a 23-year-old guy like how he was born, her how her teenage was, how it was when he got married, how it was when she got kids. And then when you get to know people of different age and experiences, uh, you get a different sense of about your life, about your age, about the things you should do, things you shouldn't do. So I never knew the things I should do, but somehow I always knew what I shouldn't be doing. Like, and it was always like I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now, and I shouldn't be going with popular belief like 20 places to visit or the dream job we should have. So that idea of wanting or being cool started vanishing. It didn't go like in a moment, but with more conversation and with more alone time with myself, it went. And then I started taking some steps. Like I started traveling, obviously, and everything started from like traveling. The more you move, the more you settle down, actually. Right.
Nicely said. Ah.
So
And when you can you talk a little about the when you started this journey of walking? Like
yeah.
where did you start? And maybe
So last year I walked from Banaras to Gomukh, around like 1700 kilometers.
1,700 kilometers.
Yeah. And this year, like on May 14, I started my journey again. So, so
Today's tomorrow, right?
May 14, I think it's June. This is June, right?
Oh no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So May 14, I with few of my friends, we left from the same place. I was here before for 2 months, and we took a cab to Gangotri, and then we trekked to Tapovan, and from there I started my walk. So from Tapovan I came all the way down to Rishikesh. So like so far I've walked for like 3 weeks, around 350 kilometers, and it's only been like 3 weeks, but a lot has changed in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think the principal change has been?
The principal change has been like in my all my previous journeys and in all my life, I had doubts over me. Like, what if this happened? What if I don't get what I need? What if like like there was a lot of what if, and there was lot of sense of doing it for the like it was like what if I don't finish? There was that fear initially in my previous journeys.
What if you don't finish
What I have started?
any project or
Like let's say I'm gonna ride along from Delhi to Bombay, and I had like fears. What if I give it up on the way? There were fears, even though I always finished them. But now it's like there's no what if. There's no doubt because like I know if I have to leave it on the way, I won't feel bad about it. Like because I think for me now my life is not about proving anything anymore. It's about what I learned from the experiences I'm gonna have, and it's more about like not going to the decided place, but it's about where my experiences will lead me. So if my experiences lead me to that you have to get married, I might get married. And if my experiences tell me no, you have to go and sit alone in the woods, then I will go and sit alone in the woods. If my experiences tell me that I have to make films, then I will go and make films.
did some of those fears come up from expectations and pressures around you from family, friends?
It comes from like not from the expectation in my case, it comes from the insecurities I had in my life. They were more of like, what if someday like the world comes to an end, like your whole life didn't mean anything to the world. So there were those kind of expectation. Like I always had this dream of dying great, like that I will die great.
Sinbad.
Yeah.
Sinbad, right? And the sword, huh?
Yeah. So Sinbad was different kind of great. Like he never aspired for greatness. He was like just one. He was like Jack Sparrow, right? I mean, Jack Sparrow is a little badass, but
He had no fears, huh?
yeah, he had no fears,
Really?
and
Okay.
he has no like he only thing Jack Sparrow wants is his ship, right? And he just wants to sail.
But did you ever see him when he turned the cameras off? Wow.
No, I haven't seen him.
He fell apart.
Yeah.
No.
Uh.
Continue.
Yeah. So for me, like there was still some sense of accomplishment that, like,
Was it about dying and leaving something behind or moving on leaving something behind, or just about people saying, "Wow, that was a great human being"?
It was more about saying, like, I always want to remember me as well, like, wow, this guy actually lived, before dying he actually lived.
Okay.
So I always had this belief that that's how people should talk about me, that this guy, he was such a badass, but he lived, like, I mean, he was like, he lived the way he wanted and he died the way he wanted. So now I kind of feel sad about it, that I don't feel it anymore. that But the good thing about it is, even though I don't feel it that way, it doesn't make me lazy. Like, sometime when you don't want much, you become very lazy. So it's very interesting that even though I don't feel a sense of like achieving or doing something, now I'm doing the lot of things in my life. I never written so much before in my life. I'm trying to make films, and
Does it free you up? Not achieving, quote unquote, not achieving, or not worrying about achieving. Does it actually give you more, provide you more freedom?
so not the absolute freedom, obviously. I think the absolute freedom in the moments of freedom I had were when I was really silent. I think, like, let's say when I'm with Ganga and just don't have to bother about anything, when I'm into lots of thinking mode, and that thinking mode goes to that point when I stop thinking, and then I just, like, I'm amused by everything.
Ah,
That I find it quite liberating, like, because that moment goes, some other things come, and that event never breaks. So, and there's no meaning out of it. Like, I don't make meaning out of anything. It's just the way it is, and I don't exist, and I don't know.
you mentioned God earlier. I'm just wondering, like, when you're at the Ganga or you're in some form of walking meditation or sitting down or the amusement, if you will.
Mhm.
Um, can you elaborate a little more about your perspective about what you feel God, or what is it? What is God to you? Um, you mentioned. I only bring it up again because
That is my question, though. What is God to you?
Ah.
So I don't know. Again, like, before that Ganga trip, I was very rigid about all the ideas of that something unknown is there. Like, because I grew up in a family who firmly believe that there is some God, but they never told me what it is. They will just tell me, like, go to temple, you will find God. Like, go to temple, put your head and come back. They never said, like, go to temple to find God.
Okay.
So it's also like how they teach you. So the way I was taught about God was like, they never told me to find it. They told me to believe that there is God. You have to see it. They never tell me about it. So I never made an attempt to find my God. So I'm kind of like questioning the way I've been brought up by. So, but now I have feelings about some things. I don't know.
So it's yet to be discovered, maybe, or it just takes more time to.
I think one life is never enough. And also, I think there are some universal truths which all of us know, but we don't know because we haven't experienced them. So I think only way to know is to experience it again. So, and again, experiences has no limits.
When you're like walking on your journey and you meet, you described a little bit about some of the interesting characters and people you meet along the way.
Yeah.
Do you feel a sense of God when you connect with somebody on the road or on the path?
I do. I don't know about like what you mean by sense of God, but I do feel a very powerful connection with some people, and like when you walk alone, you like when I walk alone, I have lots of questions sometimes, and I need someone to answer on my behalf. I need to satisfy myself from those questions. Like I need to know what it is, where is that question coming from. And the funny thing, the funny or weird or the nice thing is, when I have those kind of questions, I only find those kind of people, and I never feel a need to ask those questions. They end up talking about those questions only, and I meet them in middle of nowhere. Like it's very maybe I manifest everything. Maybe what I'm doing is maybe just even I'm talking to is not even real. Like one day I just wake up and find it out. But if it is real, it is quite magical. Like the manifestation I'm having is it's very magical.
We talked about. Hold on, we have a truck going by. We talked briefly the other day about when I read your bio on your Facebook page about the what was it, the dual.
Two-tier world. Yeah.
Yeah, could you?
I've forgotten about it, but
Huh?
I have completely forgotten about it. I think I wrote it like
where the conflict comes from in the world, like your perspective, and then the perspective what you feel the world is telling you how to look at the world.
Yeah.
Or,
also like for example, I might deviate a little bit. So I think the world right now we are living in is like, let's say my generation is living in. It's too much information about everything, so much, and I'm not saying some information is right or wrong, but what is the appropriate information? Like what is the like someone give us some information, but they never tell us the context. So, and what we are lacking is the context. Like at least what I am lacking is the context. So when I don't have the context of it, like why someone did that, I will never understand it. And these days there's a news. So before we need the news, there are like 1,000 tweet about it. So there are 1,000 tweet about the information, and whatever is dominating, or whatever comforts us, like whatever ideologies I have, I will take that information in that way. So I will never read the exact news. I will only read the tweet or what is, because these days every news is there on Facebook. We don't really read newspaper these days. Every news we get it on what is trending on your right hand, below your notifications, and so that changed everything. Like that made us build, because what we read in first go becomes our truth, even though it turns out to be 20 days later. The image of the person or the image of the place or the event has already been shattered. So, and then we feel guilty, but we don't change. Like we don't change our perspective about it, mostly in most of the cases, and that that made us like have a lot of judgments about some place, some person, and that possibilities we could have or the things we could have learned, they never happen.
it sounds like while you're taking this walking journey, you, I get the impression that when you're walking, your ability to shift your perspective is probably more fluid than rather than sitting in an office or doing the same thing day in, day out. Like you're coming into contact with so many different elements and people, and you can't help but
Yeah.
kind of wonder, how your perspective can shift around.
Also, when I say like 9 to 5 jobs, there's nothing wrong about it. Like I find nothing bad about it. Like actually, I find it quite like it's only for brave people, and I'm not brave enough, like because I don't like that air, it's not the right air for me. I don't like that building because there's so many people inside it, and I don't like what I'm doing because, like, I mean, when I say 9 to 5, because most of the things don't exist in the real world, and yet they keep doing it. So it's quite brave not doing what you don't want to do, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Well put. That was nicely said.
and I'm not brave enough, so I can only do what I feel like doing. And what was the question again? So sorry.
That's yeah, just the perspective how when you step out of your zone, or when one steps out of their zone, they can't help but realize maybe not even realize, but the perspective can change a little bit, with each experience
True,
that you.
true,
Yeah.
true. Also, like for example, when I was doing initially, like say, like in beginning of my travel, I was having the same word, like let's say perspective. Like I'm gaining new perspective. But now I think the point I have come to is like, let's not even have a perspective. How about we don't have anything, and you know then can we see the things? Like
Right.
it's again like how many shoes you can wear, and there's no limit to it. Like
Yeah.
you keep wearing shoes and they're like people of all shapes and sizes. So it's not possible to have that whole picture fully. Like we'll have a big data, and then whatever that big data is, whatever is more than 51%, that becomes truth. I say let's lose that truth as well. you know let's lose it at all. Like let's lose everything and then walk. Then what do you see? So the day I will be able to do that, I think, like it's not like I'm pushing to bit, it's just happening.
Do you feel you're searching for something on this on your walk across India?
Again, I find this question very cliche, to be honest. And like because like when people ask me like what is the purpose behind it, is there any search behind it, are you looking for God, or are you trying to be famous or something? The honest answer is I don't know yet. I can only tell you the more I will walk, the more I will know. And like when you walk alone, lots of revelations happen. And then, like, the thing is, for me, I have always done things by instinct, at least in last 3 4 years. And I like to know why that instinct came. So for right
Okay.
now, the instinct I have is that Sachin, you need to walk all the time. A very inside of me, a voice is coming that I need to walk, I need to walk. So for me, I don't know whether it's some thirst, whether it's some search, or whether it's like some meaning, like I'm trying to make some meaning, or I have some questions. Maybe all of it, maybe nothing of it. But what I can feel is like every cell of me is telling me that I need to walk. So I'm
Nice.
walking.
Yeah. Good.
and and that is what inspired me to walk. Like obviously there's always inspiration outside, which is like when I'm walking, so many people are helping me out. Like for example, you are making a movie, I don't have to pay you anything, and
Well,
lots
we
of
didn't
people.
talk about that, did we?
Yeah.
I had to beg this gentleman
Yeah.
to let me film him.
Yeah. So, but do I have to pay you?
No.
Okay. See?
Maybe a chai, Yeah.
Yeah, chai.
But yeah, you're right. You not to interrupt you, but how many people come out and
Yeah.
really help
So
you?
I remember like the post you read. I we were leaving for Gangotri and I posted it, like I borrowed a laptop from the friend, and I just posted it, like I just wrote, and few people I could think of in that I just thanked them and left. And after a week I got access to internet. There were like more than 100 personal message in that secret box inbox
Yeah.
that so many people wants to host me. So many people are asking,
Wow.
please let us
Wow.
know if you need anything. We won't judge you if you are asking for anything. Like so many nice messages.
Yeah.
Like you come to Darjeeling, we will host you. Some people are even saying like, please come to our house, we will take you to our god. Like they have some temples, they will take us there. Some people are like so many people. They like, I have this thing if you need it, and you know,
That just makes me, my whole body just tingles when
yeah.
I mean, that is so amazing.
And like when I'm walking, like I never felt scarcity of anything. Like obviously there's scarcity of emotions I'm having these days. Like I'm kind of becoming very like completely sort of unemotional. Like I sometimes I see things as like not good or bad. Like sometimes when someone is like, let's say we talk about disability a lot, I have kind of feeling stopped feeling emotional for like all kind of vulnerable people in any sort of way it can. So I see them as people, and I don't know whether it's good or bad. So, but one thing I've realized, the moment I get affected by it, I'm not able to do anything about it.
Years ago, personally, in my personal life, what you just described, like the emotions are not quite there. For me, I called it, I realized I was numbing myself. Just, when you pinch yourself but you don't quite feel it. And it ebbs and flows, like it sometimes. And then I realized the emotions are actually a survival, a form of survival if we see them as a tool.
Yeah.
That's the thing I had in my life, is my emotions were going up and down, and I didn't know how to control them.
So for me, initially it was numbing, few years back, but now I can differentiate between what I feel right now. Sorry, that, sorry. So right now I can feel the difference between the numbing and the state of being I am in. It's not like I have closed my inner being for them. It's not that.
Yeah.
It's more of, I don't see it as a good thing or bad thing. I see the way it is.
Yeah.
I try to understand the actual narrative behind it, the actual narrative of it, and that makes me know more about the person, the state, the kind of state the person is in, and when I actually can put into the shoes, I will have a slightest idea of what to do about it. So it's actually not numbing. It's something more. It's something more pure. Like it's not like I'm stopping away. I'm stopping myself. So it's totally different from. Do I make some sense?
Mm-hmm, yeah. And then from Rishikesh, you're headed to where?
So I'm headed to Delhi, and then I'm gonna go via Central India to Maharashtra, and then Goa, Karnataka, Kerala. So all the Indian states you can think of, I'm gonna go there.
What's been the most impressive place that you've come across in India as far as location? You talked about walking along the Ganges for many kilometers.
Yeah.
I mean, that must be an experience.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So I can't mention like one place, but there have been some places which, like when we have these aha moments, remember, like I never had those aha moments, but for like sometimes I had outbursts, like there's so many things, so many churning happening, and then one day it's like I'm putting my face like this. Only Yuri was telling me like how it works. So one day it's so full of everything it explodes.
Yeah.
So those places obviously are very special for me. But I think these places are very different from like everyday places. For example, when I went to Gomukh, it was quite something. Like when you see source of something really the most powerful thing you have seen, and you see how tiny it is in the beginning, and then you see yourself like you are that tiny, and maybe you are that extreme, amazing, beautiful thing, you know. So then I like to think of the possibilities of where I can go if I keep moving. Because if I stop, I stop growing, I stop evolving. So the whole idea of movement is, I think, that as well. That because you always expand, like you are not narrowed. Maybe you are narrowed down right now, but because you keep
Right.
moving,
Yeah.
that you will like break everything.
You just said something that if you don't keep moving, you stop growing or expanding. And earlier you said your instinct is telling you just to keep walking.
Yeah.
Are those tied together? If you stop walking, that you do you thirst for? I think you used that word before the other day. Thirst for the expansion. To me, in my mind, anyway, I seem to connect the two.
Maybe I think expansion is nothing but like losing yourself fully. You know, when you know there's a dots, like everything, like every all the lights come to one point and then it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you move, you reach that dot, and once you reach that dot, you light up the whole world.
Just get to the next dot, huh?
Yeah, yeah. And
That's beautiful.
at the same time, because you are so busy in the process, you lose everything. Like you lose your, like I'm talking a lot about losing the existence because every time I have a conflict. It's not about how things are outside, how things are inside. And most of the time, it's my ego, it's my own existence which stop me from having that experience.
And when you do you estimate how long the journey is, like in time and in distance? I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
yeah, it's like 20 to 25,000 kilometer.
25,000 kilometers.
Yeah, might be 20. Let's say it's 20,000 plus,
Okay.
and I have just named it for like 1,000 days of dreaming right now. Like 1,000 days it will take, but I am sure it's gonna take more.
And do you often stop somewhere, like here in Rishikesh? You've been here for a week, or
Yeah, for a week. Yeah,
a week? Okay.
some places like at the end of the day, like I live in a human body, and this body needs rest. So like after some, let's say 300, 400 kilometers, I need to rest myself for a week or something. But like I rest like 2 days in a week just to, because it's a very long journey and I
Yeah.
need to take care of my body and I need to wash my clothes as well.
Yeah, that might help.
Yeah, so
Well, my friend, thank you for taking the time to share with the world soon, once it's posted.
thank you.
And the battery's getting low here, so
Yeah.
I think it's been a great story that you shared, and I wish the best for you and for all the people you come in contact with,
Yeah.
and just reaching the next dot and letting the light shine
Yeah.
that's a wonderful message.
Yeah, thank you. And one last night, I'm trying to write a book about my niece. For my niece, sorry. Her name is Lucy, and I want you to mention her that I love her. She's only like 4 months, and I see Emily is also 20 months.
Yeah,
So
my
I wish,
daughter.
yeah, I wish you very good luck for. I hope she becomes what she aspire, like what she's born for. You know.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I wish you good life. Yeah. Bye.